Kelly Bear here. Sorry, I've literally just spotted Dr. Nomi flumped there on the bed. My heart. So as you will see from the title of this video, this is going to be about some queer tarot decks. I'm not touching on Oracle or Lenormand or anything like that, literally just tarot decks, and only a handful, and only decks that sort of are inherently queer in their imagery. There are quite a few queer decks out there nowadays. Back in the day, not so much, or they had a very sort of, I don't know, niche vibe about them. I feel like the queer decks now feel more sort of accessible and sort of reflect everyday queer life a bit more, and there's more options to choose from. I don't have all of them. There are more that I want. Fyodor Pavlov Tarot, the Pavlov Tarot being one of them. I still haven't picked that one up. Maybe towards the end of the year I might treat myself. But yeah, so this isn't all queer decks ever. This is literally just a handful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decks. 4 Smith-Waite based and 1 Marseille. I do have decks that are not necessarily like super queer in their imagery, but are made by queer creators. I haven't picked those out because I need to keep this video sort of succinct, and then it'll end up getting really long. You know what I'm like, I just sort of tend to waffle, so I've just stuck to yeah, sort of 5 just sort of very queer in their imagery decks, and 3 of them I am particularly fond of and could wax lyrical literally all day about each of them. So I again, that's why I've stuck to 5, because it could get a bit too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the deck, and then I will show you some of my favourite cards from the deck, and then I will read a bit of an entry from the guidebook for one of the cards as well, just to let you get a flavour for if in case you don't have this deck and you're looking for it's sort of very inherently queer, not just by a queer creator but also queer as in like imagery, and all these are by queer creators. I want to make that this is not sort of a deck that's made to be diverse and has inclusivity including queerness, but is by a sort of a cis het creator. These are all by queer creators as well as being sort of queer in their imagery, so that's why I've sort of picked them, because they're like just like mega queer, and it's Pride Month, so I'm like, I need to do something to do with Pride, right? So this is what we're doing. So the first deck I'm going to talk about, which was probably my first like really queer deck, I think I got this before the next one I'm going to show you, and this is the Next World Tarot by Christy C.Road, who is a Latina artist and musician, who's very cool and very punk, and I've been into Christy's artwork long before this deck was created. So I have this is very, as you can see, it's very shiny. This is the independent version. This is Simon of the Hermit's Cave copy. He sent me this as a gift, his own copy, when I did a trade with another lovely member of our community, and she sent me her indie version because she didn't really use it, and it got lost in the post, and we never know what happened to that package, which is such a shame because she'd put loads of extras in there and her own artwork. She's an artist and maker, and it was a real shame. So I was really gutted, and it wasn't the person I was doing the trade, wasn't her fault, obviously, but Simon was like, I'm gonna, I think he didn't tell me, he just said there's a parcel on its way to you a few days later, and I did do an unboxing of it, and I ugly cried because I just didn't, this wasn't picked, I've said this in other videos, this hadn't been picked up to be a mass market deck at the time, so I was just like, well, I'm never going to be able to get a hold of it, it's going to be really difficult, I'm going to have to try and get it second hand, and probably in the US, and it's going to cost a fortune, and Simon sent me it, and there is now a mass market version. It's on, it's not on shiny cardstock. I would like the mass market version purely for photograph reasons, because I make tarot pouches in this size. The mass market is in the same size. They're pretty much exactly the same. But trying to get photos of this with my ring light and everything, it's very glossy, so it's really hard to get good photos. So yeah, I would like to get the mass market one purely for, yeah, making, yeah, purely for photos. It sounds silly, but I do, anyway. I'm getting distracted already. So as you can see from the back, we have what appears to be a, I don't know what you call them in the States, we call them pansies. And try and get it to focus, with barbed wire around it. It's really, really beautiful. And this deck is all, I'll show you, like, I'll just, because I should feel like I should be showing it. I've got some of my favourites set aside at the front of the deck, but I'll just show you, walk through as I talk. I'm not going to show you all the cards. But this is called the Next World Tarot because it's looking at what comes next, what comes down, what comes after the breakdown, the collapse of, you know, of a capitalist, neoliberal society that's wrecking the planet. What comes after that? How do we rebuild and how do we do better? Christy has a really amazing art style, and these large cards really lend themselves to her artwork. As you can see, they've got quite sort of large, not large borders because the side borders are quite thin, but there's a larger sort of, there's titles at the top and the bottom. So here on the minors, you can see that we have the title of the card. So here we have the Ace of Swords. And then at the bottom, we have sort of like a bit like the Thoth, we have like a little, like the roots of action here. And then let me find a major arcana card for you so you can see what you get when you have, oh, here we go. Here's Judgment. So here for the majors, you have the titles, you have Judgment, and then at the bottom, you've got the number that the card is in the order of the arcana. You have the planet it's in, and then you have like the star sign and the element as well. So you get quite a bit of information. So if you do use those, you know, if you do use those systems or work with those systems with tarot, or just if you're into astrology, just generally, this might be a good one for you if you work with the Thoth. This might be a good one for you as well. But it's really, really beautiful. It's really inclusive. It includes people from all backgrounds, walks of life, all different abilities and capabilities and sexualities and gender expressions. Like, it's really does it all. It ticks, for me, it ticks all the boxes, and I see myself in this. As a queer person, as a chronically ill person, I also see a lot of the people that are in my life, my family, my friends, my chosen family, my community, just in generally. I live in a really diverse, and I live in London, which is already very diverse and multicultural, but then the particular part of London that I live is really multicultural and diverse, and I love it. Like, it hums with just life and vitality, and it's just awesome. And I love it. So yeah, so this, what I'll do is I'll show you some of my favourite cards that I've put aside at the top of the deck. So, I mean, realistically, I could show you like the whole deck and just like nerd out and just gush about every single card, because like almost all of them are just my favourites. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how much I love this deck. So I also do, I have to say, there is a pocket version. I do have the pocket version, and this has been really fun to take out to give to readings for friends at like the PARK or at cafes and stuff. But I would say, if you do get this version, I do recommend getting the larger version as well, just so you can really get the benefit of the larger one, and then have this one purely for travelling and taking out and about, because obviously carrying this out and about, it's a chonker, isn't it? It's going to be a bit, oh, I've put those back the wrong way around. It's going to be a bit of a, oh, my tummy's grumbling. Why do I always film at a certain time where it's sort of like not long before lunch, and my tummy's going, feed me, Seymour. But yeah, I would say that the larger version is great for like seeing all the artwork, but a bit hefty for traveling with. So I did, and this is made in the same matte card stock as the large. As you can see, it's not super glossy, but I'm loving this so much. So yeah, so the Empress. What I love about the Empress is that, first of all, not pregnant, which, you know, I'm not, it doesn't mean like every time I see a pregnant Empress I get annoyed. It's just that it's so ubiquitous and people don't ever do anything else. It gets really tiresome. Like, it's not the only depiction, especially when you see in Marseille, the Empress is definitely the cohort to the Emperor, and it's a very, she's on a throne, and it's a very different, it's not this like Earth Mother thing. Here we have more of the Earth Mother thing going on, but it's not like in the sort of I'm a mum mother sense. She's topless, but it's not sexual. She's sovereign, she's powerful and empowered. She's holding a flame, a torch, and then she's holding this plant here that she's nurturing, and it's been, you know, it's just beautiful. And here you can see she's sitting amongst, there's lots of trash around her, but she's holding that flame and she's nurturing, and this big full moon, it's just beautiful. I mean, there's so many cards in the deck. This card, this Lovers card, this card made me cry when I first saw it. We have someone stepping out of the mirror. It's themselves, the lovers. They are stepping out of the mirror to themselves, and they are handing themselves spoons. And if you know about spoon theory or about spoonies, this is something for the chronically ill folks and neurodivergent and mental health, like people with mental health issues, often use the spoony or the spoon theory in life. But yeah, it's really, really powerful to me. And they have a walking aid, and they're touching the side of their face really tenderly, and the other version of themselves, with the clothed version of themselves, is closing their eyes and just sort of accepting this tenderness from themselves. Oh my god, it's just it's a lot. It's really powerful. The Queen of Cups, just because I think he's fabulous, or they're fabulous. The like the stuffed toy, I believe it's a stuffed toy. I don't think it's meant to be a real dog. I mean, it might be a real dog. We've got the bird. We've got them like the octopus arms coming up, balancing the cups. Yeah, so this is the Queen of Cups, the throne of emotion, and the treasure chest. It's just so chaotic. And of course now it's also kind of giving me our flag means death vibes. It's almost like Mr. Buttons a little bit with the whole bird situation. But yeah, it's just, you know, and the dressing up, you know, how like Steed is always like into being very fabulous. Or it could even, like, I mean, this could even be Ed, this could even be Blackbeard living it up. I love it. So it's a really beautiful card, and it's just fun, and there's lots of like really fabulous cards like that in the deck as well. The Seven of Wands is another favourite of mine. Sorry, I'm just having to sort of put it up close so it sort of will focus, and then, oh, I say that and then it didn't. This one I just think is such a great demonstration. So as I said, this deck is all about, it's very radical, it's very political. I mean, I always say tarot is political, the personal is political. I don't understand how people, like, I don't include politics in my tarot, because people go there, some people go their whole lives without paying attention to politics. I'm just like, how? And I do get that some people just don't have the capacity in their life because they're so busy trying to survive. But then a lot of people that are trying to survive are involved in politics. So I'm not saying that. I just mean like people that just sort of like go through life either saying that they don't like to get into politics because they think it's just something that they shouldn't, it's, oh, that shouldn't get involved in spiritual stuff. I'm like, to me, witchcraft, tarot, spirituality is all, mine is practiced as inherently political because I can't separate them. It's so interwoven into the fabric of our everyday lives, right? And some people who just do a lot of spiritual bypassing, but yeah, this deck doesn't do that. It's full on. And we've got this woman here making a stand against the police. She's peaceful protest, although, you know, there's also the need sometimes for aggressive protest and acts of disorder and chaos. But here she's peacefully protesting, and we've got all the police in the riot gear behind her. I just think it's a really powerful representation of standing your ground for the Seven of Wands. I think it's stunning. This card just gets me because I just love them so much. This cup in the Two of Cups. I just love them. It's just one of my. I don't know. From the moment I saw this card, I just loved it. I just love Christy's artwork for a start. Look at this, just the way she draws the hairs on the bodies. The sort of like gritty sort of style, but then it's colourful and vibrant, and the skies that she draws and paints are stunning. And look at this look of, oh, I just love it. The embrace and their cups and on the beach. It just makes me happy. It's just a joyful, loving card. And then another favourite of mine, I'm going to stop here because I'm going to read a bit of the entry in the book for this one, is the Magician. A lot of these decks have great Magician cards, actually, just like really different takes on like the Magician, the Emperor, the Empress, the High Priestess. Just really cool, getting a queer perspective on these archetypes. So here we have the Magician, and I just really like that she's got her coffee, but always coffee, right? Coffee first. And she's got a tablet here and some books and like a notebook. It looks like a composition notebook, and she's working on something. She's studying something. She's working on something. She's utilizing her skills. I just really like that. She looks very sort of deep in thought, but in like a very calm and centered way. So I'm just going to read the entry, or not the whole entry, but just a part of the entry for the Magician. I'm just using the one. I've actually got the slightly larger one for the, but I should have got that for my eyes, but I've just grabbed this one instead. The Magician. I'll hold the card up so you can see it as I read it. Come on, camera. Come on, camera. Sorry. Darn thing. Okay. The Magician is a trailblazer, a torch in her own right, carrying progressive solutions to survival, well-being, intuitive knowledge, and the definition of justice. The Magician walks in the shoes of her ancestors with bouncing soles made for paving concrete and reworking the fabric of the world. And then it goes on to sort of talk about the meaning of the card a bit more, but what I like at the end here, it says, the Magician asks you to concentrate on your goals through practical wisdom, revolutionary respect, and creative magic. She asks you to wield your gifts and your learned skills into resources that heal and transform the world. And I really like that because it touches on the idea of sort of working magic for social justice, like social justice magic, which I know Liz at West Star Healing has a video on. I've still not bloody watched that, actually. I've got it on my to watch list. I'm so behind on watching things, and I know that Tom Benjamin, I think, spoke about it and has been posting on Instagram about his like sort of social justice magical workings. It's been really interesting to see him get into magic. It's really cool. I'm like, yes, come to the witchy side. So that's the Next World Tarot by Christy C.Road, available mass market as both that large size and the pocket version, and I love both of them for, you know, different reasons. One for travelling and one for being at home. The next one is, I think, the second queer deck. I can't remember if I got the Next World Tarot or this Next Tarot first, but it is the Numinous Tarot. This is the backs by Ceder, McCloud, I think is the name that they go by these days. Because there was a change between their initial publishing, they take on a different name in between. So my book does have their previous name on that they were going by, so I'm not going to say that because obviously that's not a name they choose to use anymore. But this deck, it took a while for me to get a handle on. I was a bit intimidated by it because this is another glossy one, just mind you, but the colours, again, the colours are vibrant. I love the Ceder's artwork is stunning. They also have an oracle, the Threadbound Oracle, and there's a book, they're also an author, and that goes with it. There's a book that goes with it, and they've also been working on like I think it's called the Kitchen Oracle. It's something to do, or like it's all to do with like things that you find in the kitchen or plants or food. It looks awesome. It looks very much my bag. I do like the look of the thread-bound oracle, but I've never looked at it closely enough to decide whether I wanted it or not. But the one that they're working on at the moment is I think I would go for. But this again, this one sort of really threw me, because although some of the titles have changed in the Next World Tarot, so the Hierophant becomes the teacher, for example. Some of the titles have changed. For the most part, they stay the same. You still have kings and queens, and the like. You still have an empress and emperor. Whereas with this, they're completely ungendered. There are none of the titles are gendered, and that goes for the major arcana, it goes for the courts, and then on top of that, all of the pip cards, all of the minor arcana suits have been renamed. So for example, here's a good example. So the dreamer would the dreamers represent the pages, because they're in that initial sort of, you know, daydreamy kind of formulating plans stage. And this is the dreamer of candles, which is wands. So when you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because the element of fire. And so once I started pulling this regularly, it really started to click for me quite intuitively. I do love the Fool with the rainbow and the diving into the, well, it does look a bit dangerous. So here we have bells, and bells are the element of air because of the ringing, the way the sound travels through the air. So that's swords. And then obviously this one's a lot easier to think, because this is vials, and vials are vessels, obviously, which represent the cups. Come on, blink in, camera. Stunning, fun, colourful artwork. And here we have tomes, and tomes represent pentacles, and it's a bit, you know, this one's clearly got a pentacle in the background, which makes it easier. So that they've all been changed. So yes, you have dreamers for the pages, you have explorers for the knights, you have the creators for the queens, and then you have mystics for what would be the kings. And I really like this reframing of the court cards. It goes into more detail in the book, or, you know, not it as in like it as in the system, it goes into more detail in the system in the book. Yeah, the creator has done a really great job of making this inclusive. Again, you get to see people from all walks of life, all abilities, all belief systems. It's really, really wonderful. I get to see, I mean, this literally looks like a friend of mine. There's a character in one of the cards that looks like one of my dungeon masters that I play D&D with. You know, like I see myself in it. It's really colourful and fun and vibrant and joyous. The book is excellent and uses, oh, I love the creator. This would be the Queen of Cups, the creator of Vial. She's so beautiful. And that like dark plum lipstick. Oh. It's really, again, it's radical in that it's a lot more, I'd say this deck is a lot more sort of gentle and nurturing and soft, in the sense that it feels a lot more like you're being held by it rather than being shoved into, like, come on. Like this one is like, get your ass into gear, come on, you know, like this, yeah, let's go. Where this one is like, I'm going to hold space for you, I'm going to nurture you. So the book is excellent. Like I said, it uses completely ungendered language. It's really inclusive in that way, and that's because the creator is not binary. They wanted to use ungendered language. So I'm going to show you some of my faves. Again, I could show you almost the entire deck and wax lyrical, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it again. The Six of Vials, which would be the Six of Cups. We have here someone giving offerings to their ancestors, and I just, first of all, it's got green, and they're wearing a green and purple outfit, and green and purple are my two favourite colours. There's lots of purple in this deck, which also probably appeals to me. But they, as you can see, they have an ancestor altar or ancestor shrine, and they are giving offerings. And then we have this bottle, and it's almost like, oh my god, I just love it. And I'm assuming, never assume anything, but I believe that this is someone that they have known in their life, so it's probably a grandmother or a great grandmother. And I just think it's really beautiful. And also just the idea of like ancestor worship, or ancestor connections, or just offerings to spirits and spirit allies or familiars, that kind of thing is just something that is part of my practice. So I don't really do much with my ancestors because I feel like I need to do more research onto my family history. I don't know much about my family history other than most of them were like poor Irish and Scottish people. um, the next one that I love is the 10 of vials, which again would be the 10 of cups. And when you think about, come on, the Smith-Waite depiction where you have that sort of stereotypical cis-het nuclear family, with the mum and dad and the two children, the boy and the girl, and the rainbow over the top. This one very much speaks to chosen family, and I just love that, right? Because my mum would always say to me, blood is thicker than water, but that isn't the whole idiom, right? Because the saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which was to say that actually the bonds made through the battlefield in Brothers in Arms, the covenant of brothers in arms, was thicker than the water of the womb. The amniotic is in the bonds were stronger that you made on the battlefield or amongst your comrades, right? So I really like that because the chosen family is really also important to me, because I remember my mum was saying, "Oh, you like your friends more than you like your family. You want to spend more time with your friends than with your family." When I was a teenager, first of all, calm down. I'm a teenager, and I was such a well-behaved child and teenager. Like, my mum realised because my younger sister's a wild child. Well, she's calmed down now. She's an adult, but like she was a wild teenager, and my mum used to think I was so well behaved. My mum's friends at the time were like, Kelly's like a super chill, like well behaved teenager. I don't know what you're worried about. I wouldn't do anything wrong. I lost my marbles and went wild during my 20s because I didn't have a teen years. But yeah, my mum said to me, like, when my sister was a teenager and my mum was really going through it with her, my mum went, "Yeah, I realised it's really hard on you because you were actually a fucking saint compared to your sister." I was like, "Yeah, well," but she always used to say, "You want to spend more time with your friends than your family." And I was like, what I was saying, because I distracted myself, derailed myself, was, first of all, yes, teenager, I want to spend time with my friends, but also I've chose their connections that I've made. They get me. Like, if I at home, my family, "Why are you so quiet? Why are you always reading? Why don't you go outside? Why are you doing Lego? Why do you listen to that music? Why do you dress like fuck's sake?" Because they like, and I'm still me, like, not a phase. I'm still who I am. But yeah, I really enjoy that. The long-winded way of saying I really enjoy this because it feels like chosen family. Wow, that was a whole ramble, wasn't it? The next one is the Mystic of Vials. So this would be the King of Cups. Vials really like representing in this deck. I just love him. I just love him. Ever since I first saw this card, I don't know what it is. He just speaks to me. He's holding this bottle, this vessel, and there's a storm inside it. Can you see? There's a storm raging inside, but a very calm sea in the background. It looks like he's unable to see out of one eye due to an injury, because it looks like there's a scar across his eye. So he's been blinded in one eye and he's got a scar underneath his eye. And he's sovereign. He's got like a circlet on his head. He's got fabulous earrings. I don't know. I just love him. Do you know, like, when you get vibe off of someone. I don't know if this was based on someone or someone modelled for this, but I absolutely love him. And every time he turns up, I'm like, "Hey, friend." The next one is the Magician. Magician showing up a lot again. This is for me because firstly, he just looks awesome, but secondly, my headcanon is this is a very young Gilmore of Gilmore Glorious Goods from Critical Role's first campaign, the Vox Machina campaign. I'm like, this is like 20-year-old Gilmore practicing his magic, because he's got the purple robes and he's got the long hair and he does kind of look fabulous. I'm like, but he hasn't fully become the Gilmore that we know and love. But yeah, it's like Bobby Gilmore, and I just love that. That's my headcanon. The Nurturer, which would be the Empress. So here we have an ungendered and non-gendered representation again of the Empress showing up here for me, being a favourite card. Not pregnant but nurturing, and I really enjoy just the depiction, something different, nurturing It doesn't have to be life. It can be creative forces. It could be all sorts of things. But it's just nurturing, and it doesn't designate nurturing as a female or male trait. It's just a human trait, which it is. I hate this whole, well, it's like feminine is nurture. Like, no, just stop it. That's like cis het patriarchal fucking bullshit. It's not like that all the way around the world. Systems are different and cultures are different, and I just love this. So there's that. The Four of Tomes, the Four of Pentacles, I just think it's interesting, right? Instead of seeing someone grabby on the old the coins here, we've got 4 tomes, so 4 pentacles. You can see it helps because they've got the little pentacles on the book covers, but they're in a glass cabinet that's locked with a padlock. So you can't easily access these books. They're not just on display, they are locked away. All that rhymes. I love it when a sentence rhymes. And they look like magical books. Maybe they are personal grimoires. Maybe they're old grimoires from long ago, and they're like delicate and need to be handled carefully, but they're locked away. And there's this practical, you know, maybe someone wants to get at this practical knowledge, get at the grimoires, because the whole point of a grimoire is that it's full of information that you can use, magical information that you can utilize to make changes in your life or to summon things or whatever it is, right? And there's no access. And sometimes knowledge needs to be locked away because people are it's not for those people with regards to maybe a cultural practice that is closed. And I did once see someone a few years ago calling it safeguarding rather than gatekeeping. There's a really good two-part series on the Southern Bramble podcast by Austin Fuller and Marshall, the Witch of Southern Light. It's one of my favourite podcasts, and I've been listening to it a lot more again recently because I'd sort of been listening to other stuff and hadn't listened to any of theirs for a while. But they have a two-parter basically on gatekeeping. It's really, really interesting, and they talk about various types of gatekeeping, when it's good, when it's bad, and yeah, this could be seen in both a positive and a negative light, and I like that. It's quite neutral, again, like very much like the deck. And again, I'm going to read a little bit about this next card because this is one of my favourite lovers cards of all time. Look at that. First of all, it puts me in mind of Sense8, which I'm watching at the moment with my spouse. I managed to get halfway through the first season twice on my own, and then both times it went off the streaming service I was watching it on. It has been back on Netflix, so I'm taking the chance to actually watch it with my spouse. So I'm back up to where I was. So I'm only halfway through the first season, so no spoilers please. But this does make me think of the Sense8 folks, like all connected in their like little pod or unit or whatever. I can't remember the phrase that they use, a particular phrase. But also just the idea of like polyamory, right? But also just how love doesn't have to be romantic, but also love doesn't just have to be between one person. You can love many things or many people, because people go, oh, you know, with regards to, I'm in a monogamous marriage, but I have a lot of polyamorous friends. And I see some people being really stupid and rude about polyamory, but it's like, they're like, oh, how can you love more than one person? But that's like saying to a parent that has like more than one child, well, how do you love more than one child? Like, or if you have 2 dogs, like, how do you love more than 2 dogs? Like, the heart has an infinite capacity to love when it is in a good place, or even not even when it's a good place. It's hard when you are struggling, you know, to like give more of yourself, but it doesn't mean you don't love any less, if that makes sense. So I'm going to read a little bit of the lovers section from the book. So it says, I'm just going to read a little bit of the description because it's really nice, which is 7 people of various ages, races, genders and appearances lay in a circle on a bed of flowers holding hands. So there's more, but that's just the main crux of it. And then it's here for the meanings. Love is the word, the guide, the reason. I nearly went to like singing it in the like Grease is the word, but like love is the word, it's the guide, it's the reason. Sorry. Love. Love is the word, the guide, the reason, the seed, the bloom. To care for another being and be cared for in return, very Moulin Rouge, is a very powerful thing in our universe. This card represents not just romantic or sexual love, but the love between family members, between friends, between mentor and mentee, the love we have for our planet, our pets, our favourite foods, our hometowns, our heart homes. Every caring connection that lights us up from the inside and encourage us to be our best selves is included here. What a capacious and beautiful way of describing the lovers. So, as well as being a beautiful card. So, that, I'm going to leave it at that because I will wax lyrical again, like I said, all day about this deck. I love it. And there was a time for like a few years, like 2 or 3 years, where this and the C.Road were the two decks I could just like not pull, to the point where I had to hide them both away because I'm like, you need to use some of your other decks, bitch. Stop buying more decks. Oh, now it's like a toss up between like the Numinous, the Next World, this C.Road and one of the next decks I'm going to show you. Like, they are always being pulled, and I've pulled them all out because it's like Pride Month anyway. I'm like, well, I will allow myself to use them. Okay, so I have 2 more decks to show you. No, 3 more decks. I'm like, I've only showed you 2 decks. It's because there's 2 copies of the Next World down, so it's throwing me off. Holy crap, we're at 35 minutes, 36 minutes even. Okay, I just need a sip of my decaf iced coffee. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you came out last year. It's real chunky and the cardstock's really thick. It's really hard. I can't riffle shuffle this. I have to overhand it, and I can't really riffle shuffle that much anymore anyway, so I guess it's a moot point. But this is the facts. This is the deck that me as a teenager would have lost their damn minds over if this was available, because it's so 90s zine. 90s does like 60s and 70s vibes slash indie slash grunge slash zine, and it's been deliberately done in that art style. So it's the Queer Tarot. It is a mass market deck. Sorry, I should say that the Numinous Tarot is an independently produced deck, and I do believe you can still get it from the creator. I will link all of these down below for people to be able to pick up themselves. So this is the Queer Tarot, and this one is by the, hang on, Ashley Molesso and Needham, I believe. It doesn't say on the, yeah, Ashley Molesso and Needham, and it's a really fun, colourful book. It's just rainbow. It's so queer, right? It's a decent chunk, like the cards are standard sort of Smith-Waite size, you know, standard Smith-Waite deck, but it's really thick because the cardstock's thick. And this one is just so bright, neon with pastels, which is very much my thing. If I'm not dressed head to toe in black, then I'm rocking some like really mad neon colours. We've got green horses with pink bridles. I mean, yes, I love it. Again, the books are pretty good. I wouldn't say it's as good as the previous 2 books, but it's still pretty good, and it's good for beginners. It's a great beginner's deck. It's very much clearly a Smith-Waite. Every card is Smith-Waite, but make it 90s queer, right? So I think this is an excellent beginner's deck. You get a decent, you know, it's not a little white book, it's a chonker, and it's at a really affordable price. So I highly recommend this one for beginners. I would definitely buy this for teenagers and early 20-somethings. It's really, really fun, really, really colourful. I just love it. It's really, again, there's so much joy in these decks. It's just really nice to see queer joy. So I'm going to show you, I'll show you a couple more that are like, so it's very clearly Smith-Waite. Here we have the Ace of Pentacles and like some kind of like Rainbow Road type situation. Maybe it's, what's the word? Oh my god, the Bifrost? Or maybe it's like the Mario Kart Rainbow Road, which is like the most difficult race car. Oh my god, the Rainbow Road, so dangerous. Yeah, this is so clearly the Three of Swords. It's very, very, you see what I mean? So it's a really, really great beginner's deck. excellent beginner's deck. So yeah, I just wanted to show you a few more, and I do love the bags, they're quite trippy. So here are some of my favourite from this deck. Again, I've stuck to like 5 or 6 from each deck, because otherwise I'll be showing you like every bloody card. The World card I love, because she's rocking some very nice like retro, come on camera, retro lingerie. So yes please. She's tattooed. She's not a skinny mini, she's got some curves. Not that I'm against, you know, slender people, obviously. It's just that we see a plethora of them in many decks. Every time I see like a cis het, skinny, white, pretty tarot deck come out, like a Smith-Waite one, I'm always like, but why? Like, what are you doing that's different? What are you offering other than like doing it in your own art style? Which I guess is a valid like reason to do a tarot deck. You just want to paint a tarot deck, but like, do they have to publish? I don't know. I'm being a bit mean, but you know what I mean? Like, there's so many of them already. Do we need more? Like, where are the dog decks? Give me dog decks. Don't give me more. Give me dog decks. Or like, I don't know. I love the death card. I mean, just death in a pink baseball cap. I'm into it. I'd like fucking, what? Strawberry pants? Yes. Chelsea boots maybe. These poor people being trampled, but I love it. I just love that they're in a hoodie and a baseball cap. It just tickles me. It tickles me. The 8 of Swords I love, because again we're getting some like negligee or like little silky slip situation, some fishnet stockings, yes, some nice heels, and then some shibari. And yeah, I do love a nice shibari harness, whether it is for pleasure or for fashion reasons. We have the Temperance card here. This looks a little bit like, oh, what's their name that does Tarot Vista? This looks like Tarot Vista. I don't think it is Tarot Vista modelling, but it looks like Tarot Vista. They have like a YouTube tarot and YouTube channel and an Instagram account. And I love this, like, I don't know, I just love this little sort of wiggly clouds or something, or mist, and then you've got all the stars in it. I love the background. It's so, look at that. And the colour, the pinks and the blues and the purples, like the bi-flag colours in the water. Love it. The Knight of Cups I love, because it's just so louche, you know? Like, first of all, the horse is wearing like this beautiful bridal type situation. It's very decorative. He's got his shirt off. He's got his, what might be, I don't know, rose quartz or amethyst, or they. I'm saying he, I'm saying they, I don't know. Hang on. One way to check. That's my bad. I forgot to check before I made the video, because there are both cis and trans, there's cis and trans and non-binary folks and agender folks in this deck. Where are the coops? There's the coops. Okay, look, the Knight of Cups. Yeah, I correct myself, apologies. The model is Skylar Riley, and they are they them. So yeah, so I was misgendering. It was just my brain. See, it's so ingrained, even for someone who classes themselves as like right on and like, you know, has great, very good friends who are trans and non-binary. It's really like, sometimes your brain, when you're like dealing with an old system and you read Knight, your brain just goes and says he, because it's so ingrained. And even then, see, so they're just leaning back, they're shirtless. Come on camera, stop being a bell end. And they just look really louche, and the way that the cup is being held, sort of, it's very like, rather than, you know, which makes sense for the Knight of Cups, but then, and like the well, I don't know, stuff floating out of the cup, and they just sort of very like daydreamy and relaxed, and I don't know, they seem very cool. it just makes me happy. And the final one I'm going to show you for this deck is the Lovers. Lots of like Lovers coming up. Sorry, not the Lovers, the Two of Cups. Because sometimes my brain confuses the two because they have a very similar construction, layout, depiction sometimes. Brain fog, brain fart. And first of all, I just love that we've got these two cups with the rainbow going between them, because that's like super, like, it's so gay. Look at this couple. And then, but because it has a cat instead of an angel or anything, oh my god. It just, again, it just tickles me. Again, a very fun, colourful, joyful deck. And I am going to read a little bit of the Lovers for you. So, I'll just hold that up. Oh, I've lost my, two, not the Lovers. I did it again. My brain. It's hungry, it needs food. That's my excuse. It's hot and I'm hungry. So, Two of Cups. Oh, it's one page over. The Two of Cups represents a human connection so strong that it is blissful. Everything is balanced and perfectly in place. This isn't exclusive to romantic connections. It can happen with anyone in your life. The Two of Cups is a sign that you're right where you need to be and with whomever you are supposed to be. Cooperation, respect, and a deep understanding of one another, and the flow of your love will make you feel like you're on top of the world. There's more, but I'm not going to like read all of their work out to you. And it says that the models are Anais Torres, she, her, Catherine Francis, they, she, so it gives the pronouns for each model, and then it has Ziggy the cat modelling as the angel, which I love. And this book's good because it comes from a queer perspective. It does touch on, like, you know, existing as a queer person and identity and stuff like that within the book as well. So these, you know, these books all, you know, the Numinous Tarot, the Next World Tarot, the Queer Tarot, and the next book that I'm going to show you, all like really do touch on what it is to exist as a queer person in the world. And from a queer and like gender queer or non-gendered perspective in the case of some of these books as well, which I really like. So that's that deck. The fourth deck I'm going to show you, this is getting like majorly bananas long, is a deck that was gifted to me for my birthday by the lovely Sandra over at Whispers of Avalon. This deck, my goodness, I've been using this deck a lot. I used it loads when I got it, and then I went on a mad Marseille kick, which I still kind of am on, but I've really been using a lot of Smith-Waitley based decks again, weirdly, I don't know. But this deck, first of all, I love the backs. This is the mass market version. Again, it comes at a really reasonable price. It's very thick. Again, I can't riffle shuffle this very well. I have tried, as you can see, but it's so thick that it does hurt my hand, and I already have hand issues. But it does overhand really beautiful. It makes a really lovely sound. It doesn't stick at all, and it's really satisfying, and it's matte, but not in a sticky matte way. Comes with a guidebook, which is not a little white book, but not a chunky book either, but really packs a punch. This is one of my favourite guidebooks for a Smith-Waitley based deck ever, hands down. Just love it, and I keep it out all the time, right by my tarot trolley. So the first card I'm going to show you is the Death card, because come on, you've got butterflies, you've got snakes, both creatures known for their regeneration and renewal. You've got death there in the background. You've got the dark moon, which is, you know, related to endings in magical work, also almost like a new moon, because you can just about see the ring of the light around it, or maybe it's an eclipse, right? We have generations, different generations of a family. Oh, I just love it so much. Isn't that beautiful? Actually, before I show you all of my faves, I'll just show you just random ones. So we have the High Priestess. I love the Sun card, which is not like me to say. I love that we have someone here that has top surgery scars and a dog. Yes. Yes, please. Love it. There's some really pippish cards in here as well. It's a real sort of bit of a hybrid deck. And I actually do prefer, because there's been a couple of changes to the mass market from the independent version, I actually prefer the mass market version. 7 of Wands, again, 6 of Wands, sorry. So you've got this sort of pippish vibe. The laurel wreath for success for the 6 of Wands. Again, see how there's like quite a lot of pippishness. 8 of Cups. So this person, they're already gone. You don't see a person depicted. You just see all these vessels being left behind with this leaky roof. Just, you know, look at this with the hair and this is the Queen of Wands. I just love how. Anyway, I do love the Magician as well. It's very sort of the herbalist mixing up some concoctions, wild crafting in their kitchen. Oh my god, this deck. Oh, the Lovers again in this one. I just, again, like I said, I could just go on and on and on about these decks. This deck. Anyway, oh my god, the moon just alone, just because it's spooky and it literally looks like it's glowing. It doesn't show up on camera, but this is really sort of luminous looking. It's great. The Temperance. Anyway, like I said, I can just show every card and just get very excited. But I'm going to stop and just show you the cards that I've picked out. So Death was one of the cards that I picked out. It's one of my favourites. I love the Queen of Cups. I love that she's a diviner. Can you see there? She's with her bowl of water. Maybe she's got some scrying ink, or maybe she's going to put some wax in there and scry the wax. She's got some runes, she's got tarot cards, she's got crystals, she's got pendulum. She's set. She's good to go. She seems like she is adept at a divining system, and I would definitely go to her or them. I think they're gendered as she in, I can't remember. I actually tell her like the book is all non-gendered, so I should be using they for all of them. But some people look more femme than others, but that doesn't always mean anything, right? So. I love the Hermit. Actually, the Hermit is spoken about as in terms of being a man in the book, from what I remember. I think it's the Numinous Tarot, which is completely on non-gendered language, I believe. Is the fifth the here? Yeah, they do say the Hermit is the wise man. It might be the only one. The Hermit is the ancient wild man of the woods. Oh no, it explains that it's a bunch of people. I'm begging your pardon. Yes, sorry, I'm misremembering it, because I've not pulled this card for a while. But it says the Hermit is the ancient wild man of the woods, the magic witch in their chicken-legged hut, the grizzly misanthrope in their off-grid cabin refusing to pay taxes. But obviously my brain just latched onto the first line, because the wild man in the woods appears to be this guy or this person. I love it. I just love it. It's just different, right? Rather than seeing someone on a mountain standing up, they're sitting down, they're in a woodlands. And I love that the deck does this with a lot of the things. They sort of have these sort of white, almost aether type depictions of things in the deck, which is very cool. Another favourite of mine, King of Swords. This King of Swords is kicking ass. I love the entry for this card as well. The activist, the agitator, the organizer, the coordinator. They're getting stuff done. They're using their words, their voices, their sword. Really, just with the loud hailer there, mobilizing, on the boots on the ground action. Love it. Really love it. This star, purely because, you know, we've got some pubic hair. We're getting a bit of bush. We're getting tummy rolls. We're getting double mastectomy. Like, yes. And I love that we have that she's, or they, you know, they are scooping water up from the pond or the pool, but then also here there's water running through their hands into this jug, and then I just love it. And that they've got 1 foot in. Isn't that beautiful? We have like the ibis flying overhead instead of in the tree. This deck. This is one of my favourite Emperor cards ever. Because let's be honest, a lot of us don't really like the Emperor card. And first of all, we have, like I was talking about, that sort of white, drawn in aether type parts of the cards. We've got the ram horns, but they're like ethereal. We've got measuring tapes, and we've got protractors and blueprints and pencils and rulers and all sorts of things. We have the Emperor's cube here, you know. We've got their symbols are tattooed on them. But we also have like a trans mask emperor. They have breasts, but they also have a full beard. They've got a top knot. I just think it's really beautiful, and it really taps into a part of the emperor that we don't get to see, because the emperor can be skewed very negative by a lot of people, very much like the Hierophant, you know, or how people like myself can sometimes feel a bit icky sometimes about certain depictions of the empress. This creator does a really good job. And this is, sorry, I should say, this is by Charlie Claire Burgess. They are a non-binary artist. Well, they didn't consider themselves an artist, but they wanted to make a deck that they wanted to see, so they made it, and they made this deck without any like real sort of original, like being an artist training or having really ever drawn before. Like, amazing, blows my mind. But the entry for this, I mean, this whole damn book is amazing. But I'm just going to read a bit. I'm not going to read all of it again because I don't want to give away all of the information in the book. But the Emperor. The Emperor is a tricky card. Its usual meanings of authority, order and leadership gain a sinister tint in a world where authority is oppressive, order is unjust and leaders lie. So instead of presidents and kings, let's look elsewhere for our emperors, to farmers, environmental scientists, indigenous elders, green city planners. If the empress is the wild fruiting vine of the natural creation, then the emperor can be the sturdy trellis that lends its structure so the vine may climb closer to the sun. This is not an emperor of oppression and control, but of duty, accountability, and the benevolent stewardship of the land and its people. And it goes on, but I'm not going to. But isn't that just this book? Like, it's a small paragraph, and it just packs so much. I just cannot. Can you see why I love this? This deck. Thank you, Sandra, so much. I'm just in love. I'm in love with this deck. These decks, they make me so happy. Okay, and the final one is a Marseille. It's the first Marseille deck that I ever bought. It's not one that I use very often, if at all, these days, because I have other Marseille decks that I do prefer to use. I was very drawn to it because it's very pretty, and it was more to do with the colours. It's colours that I really like, and like some of the like fashion choices in this are really cool. But I will say it's not the most diverse or inclusive. There you don't see any disability, you don't really see people of colour. There's like one or two people of colour. It doesn't show that much like actual queerness with regards to interrelationships with people in this card, in this deck, which is more difficult to do with a Marseille deck because obviously the pips are just, you know, numerical pips. And it's based more on a traditional Marseille, but there are people now, and there are some more diverse and interesting Marseille decks coming out. Inclusive, rather. Interesting is not the word I was looking for. This is an interesting deck. There are more inclusive and diverse Marseille decks out there. Tom Benjamin's Multi-Marseille is a really good example. Ash Estrella's Estrella Tarot, which will have a second edition coming out later this year that I'm very excited about. Even something like Jess Roller's Squid Cake Marseille, which depicts characters that look like they're otherworldly, but it still has this sort of inclusiveness and diversity about it. But anyway, excuse me if you can hear my tummy rumbling. This is the back of the cards. It's beautiful. It's one of my favourite backs, and it's stunning. I mean, the colours have really lured me in, but now if I want to use a deck with this kind of colours, I choose my Tarot Classic, which is a 50-year-old deck. I think it's nearly 50 or is 50 years old. It was either 73 or 74. It's an original copy. The colours are very similar in that deck to this one. So as you can see, it's Marseille, but then you have very, very camp queer looking court cards and major cards. So that's the King of Batons. I mean, absolutely beautiful, really, really stunning. And the inclusion of the flowers, so each of the flowers in each of the cards has a meaning, and it's spoken about in the book. So the book, when it comes to the card meanings for each card, it's very much sort of standard Marseille, very short bits. It's more like a little white book, very small. But you do get some additional information and meaning in the pip cards with the inclusion of the flowers, which I quite enjoy. Three of Cups. It's very, very pretty. So let me find some more people cards for you. So this is created by Ross Salerno. I believe he has the new Voice. This is the new Choice Tarot de Marseille, and he has, or does have coming out, the new Voice Tarot, which is a Smith-Waite based deck. And they're based on the, well, this one is at least, is based on a very specific queer clubbing scene in Berlin, Germany. I think Ross is Italian, I may be wrong, but lives in Berlin or spends a lot of time in Berlin. So that's, sorry, I said I was going to show you some people cards. So, you know, then we've got sort of the Madonna kind corset situation. Lots of blonde folks in here as well. Let me see, blonde. So they're all very pretty, and they're all very like conventionally beautiful. And you know what, I also think, like, I get it that like muscles and stuff are seen as attractive, but I do also think that like larger people can be just as beautiful and are just as beautiful. I have several like larger crushes. Like I've always had a thing for like Jack Black and Tyler Labine, and I've had people be really rude going, oh, they're fat, and I'm like, yeah, but they're also hot. Like fat doesn't equal ugly or not hot, it just means that they're larger. Like I just find that whole mindset so fucked up. I love me Jack Black, I still fucking would. So yeah, there's lots of like very sort of beefcakey body beautiful types. Body beautiful in the conventional sense, because like I think all types of bodies are beautiful. So yeah, so there's that. So I'll show you some of my favourite cards. I do like the cheeky, I mean, there's some tight buns on the Fool, and obviously it refers to sort of some of the older original decks where you've got the dog pulling down and exposing the bum. Sometimes they'll be exposing the Fool's testicles, so I do like that nod to traditional Tarot de Marseille. I really do like sort of the beautiful flowers in this Two of Swords, and just the colours make me happy. The Two of Pentacles is really beautiful in this deck. I love this, like this isn't inherently queer, but like I just like the top heavy, large skulled, weird sort of bulbous headed death. I don't know, again, just tickles me. Le Pendu, again, probably because he's rocking some shibari, and I do love me some shibari. I've been out at club nights wearing shibari harnesses as like fashion things before. It's fun, and it can be used for other things as well. I do love the Ace of Cups. It's it is actually one of my favourite Ace of Cups depictions of all time. I do think it's beautiful. Come on, it's really stunning. Again, it's sort of like a classic Tarot de Marseille, but make it like queer club vibes. And the King, I think this is one of my favourite cards in the whole deck, because I love me a merman, right? You know that whole trend from a few years ago where men were dyeing their hair and their beards, like matching merman? Come on, camera, do me a solid and fucking work. I just love that, like, he's so blue hair, blue beard, and he's got that big heart tattoo because he's like the King of Cups. He's got that fabulous like hat with the feathers. It's just all very, just almost letting it all hang out. It's very, very louche, but very sort of and relaxed and in control. And again, I'll just read a little bit just to show you that this is a much more sort of classic type book. The Roy de Coupe, King of Cups, a big-hearted man, Lord, what else is big, who generously gives conscious love and the joy of living and the serenity of mastered emotions thanks to his loving vision of the world. So you can see, like, it gives a decent like little snippet of information, but there's nothing inherently queer about the book itself. This though, I do rather like the sort of the spin on the Pope with the leather daddy bondage like situation going on. So yeah, so it's doing something, but I would like some Marseilles that go further, and I think they will be coming over the years. So yeah, So that's it. That was like, wow, over an hour. I was hoping to keep that under 40 minutes. Can you see why I didn't pull out more decks? Because it would have just got banana pants, just way too long. And it is 5-1. My tummy is screaming at me to give it some sustenance, so I need to go do that. But thank you so much if you have watched. Do you have a favourite out of the ones that I've shown you? Do you own any of these, or have you been sort of inspired to like pick up one of these now that you've seen them? Are you in the market for a queer deck or a bunch of queer decks, or you only want queer decks? I would also say, like, folks who are not queer, who like I see people going, I don't need to see myself in a deck, and 9 times out of 10 is a cis het white person, let's be honest. And it's like, well, that's because you already see yourself and you don't have to think about it, right? But also, I think it's good for people who don't identify with certain groups to buy decks that are diverse, to sort of expose themselves to that more diverse life, more diverse world that we actually live in, just generally. And I know that there are people that will be living in places that are not, but I still think it's good to like expose yourself. So one of the other like Smith-Waite decks that I enjoy using is the Melanated Tarot, and that is a pretty much straight up Smith-Waite deck, and it is just, it's created by black artists, and it's just all black folks. And I understand where people would say that that isn't diverse, in the sense that, you know, it doesn't feature loads of different cultures and what have you, but it's also very necessary to redress a balance, right, and address an imbalance that's been going on in tarot. But also it's good to have a deck where every single person is black, and it has people with all different skin tones, black skin tones, which I think is really important, because again, there's the issue of colorism, which is another thing. And it's just really beautiful to see, because if you own a Smith-Waite deck, which is basically all white people, why can't you have an all black deck? I think it's good for you as a reader to work with a deck like that, because it's putting yourself also in the shoes of someone who might be black or mixed race, or of any other kind of heritage. Maybe they're Asian, maybe they are indigenous, maybe they are like, I don't know, South Asian, he said, whatever it is, it's like just not what the Smith-Waite depicts, right? It puts you in that position to see what it feels like to not see yourself in a deck. I think that's an important perspective to have. So maybe, because I think people sometimes get like really twisted with like, oh, these diverse decks, and there's a difference between tokenism and diversity. I would say that the 4 first decks are probably more successful, or in my mind more successful, in being queer and diverse and inclusive than the last one. But the last one still is inherently queer. Doesn't make it unproblematic, or any of these unproblematic in a way. But I just feel like these decks that are being created from queer creators, and they are putting their life experiences, and then what I really love is like the people that didn't have life experience in certain situations, they spoke to people from those walks of life and those cultures in order to get a better perspective. And they have like sensitivity readers, but with decks, in order to make sure that they are doing the best that they can. You know, no deck is 100% perfect, but I think these are a really good example, and that I think diversity in decks is something that I definitely want to see. I don't think any of these ones are tokenistic. The first 4 at least don't have anything that feels tokenistic in them. I'm not into diversity for the sake of diversity. I think it has to be coming from either the perspective of someone from within a culture or lifestyle or life experience, I should say, rather than or from someone who's done their research and is being respectful. Because let's be honest, there are some decks out there that can be very tokenistic, and that ain't cool. Don't just chuck it in for the sake of it. And then I was going to start talking about Taika Waititi in an interview that he did, a panel that he did. Anyway, I'm gonna go, because this is getting really long. I will link some stuff down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm still going back over what I was going before, and I distracted myself. Let me know if you have any really great queer deck recs down below. Let me know, or just any other like diverse decks. List them down below in the comments, because I'm always interested. I know that Theodore Pavlov, that deck I definitely do want. I'm sure there's others I can't think of off the top of my head at the moment because I'm tired and hot and hungry. But yeah, really appreciate you taking the time, especially if you've made it this far. Bloody hell, well done. And yeah, thank you. Look after yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.